So the Consumers Association might well find that there are changes in the future.
I don't know quite yet what those changes are going to be, but I do feel...
But there will be a more campaigning style.
There will be
That's
a more
your style.
campaigning style, because it is my style, and they knew that when they appointed me. But again, I think what you need to look at when you're doing any work of this kind, where you're trying to act in a representative capacity, is not to have a patronising attitude to the people you're trying to represent. What most homeless people want is what you and I want. It's a home, it's independence, it's all of these things. And what consumers want is what I want. I don't want to buy a Duff iron that blows up on me after a year. I don't want to buy a cooker that burns me. I don't want to buy a personal pension plan that in 2 years' time means that I haven't got any money for my old age. And it seems to me that if you start from the basis of what is it that you want, and what would you like, and how would you like to be treated, and how would you like services to be provided for you, you've got most of the answers to these things. Okay, then there's the technical detail, but you send the experts in to do that. I'm just working it out while I'm talking to you.
Sheila McKechnie, thank you.
They call it the Great British Rip-Off, and to make their point about car prices, the Consumers Association parked at the headquarters of the Motor Manufacturers Trade Body. They're stepping up their campaign at a time when the Competition Commission is investigating the industry.
Well, I drove in today in one of the most popular selling car in Britain, the Ford Focus. That car would cost a consumer £2,800 less in Portugal. It's, you know, it's ridiculous. There's lots of evidence now that consumers in the UK are paying over the odds for their cars. The OECD's done a report, the Office of Fair Trading's done a report, the European Commission has done a report, and it's thousands of pounds. We're not talking about small differentials.
I'm not asking you to be an apologist for the manufacturers, but what reasons do they give? How can they justify this?
Oh, the reasons that manufacturers put up are many and varied. None of them, in our opinion, hold water. They've got a soft market here. There's no reason why someone in Britain should pay more than someone in Spain. For goodness sake, we're supposed to have a free market. That was the purpose of setting up the common market in the first place. And it's just not justifiable, and it's partly because we've got a bad competition law in this country. It's badly enforced, and politicians of all parties have tended to roll over given the pressure from the car manufacturers. The food standards agencies to protect consumers against unhealthy food that makes the meal. And the history of the last 20 years shows that the current system of regulation, largely controlled by the Ministry of Agriculture, puts the industry first. Have a complaint, basically, if you were missold. This has nothing to do with the product underperforming and drop in equities. Yeah. If you were told this is guaranteed to pay off your mortgage, or it will definitely, then you have 5 million of you might have grounds for complaint. Okay. So get in there, use the Endowment Action website, generate the letter, and get on with it. This is a great day for loyal football fans. They'll now be able to buy football strips at a much lower price than they have been for years. It's really been theft against the consumer, and that's what price fixing is all about, and this will put a stop to it. Life Fund, AXA, is trying to use a pot of money that has been accumulated over the years from policyholders, and they're trying to buy it out for the shareholders. Now, our view is that that pot of money should be split 90-10, and the company's offering about a 30-70 split in favour of the shareholders. We think that's just a complete scam, and we're hoping that the judge will agree with us and give us the right to try and get a better deal for policyholders in court.
This is £1.7 billion, but there's an awful lot more than that floating around. Give me some indication of what you think this is worth to people nationally.
The excise state is about 1.7 billion, but nationally there's about 20 billion pounds at stake. That's roughly equivalent to taking 5p in the pound off income tax. It is not a small sum of money.
You might have heard the director of the Consumers Association, Dame Sheila McKechnie, being described on the radio this morning as a fully paid-up member of the awkward squad. Sheila has died from cancer at the age of 55. She spent most of her adult life fighting injustice of one kind or another, and was a regular guest on programmes like this one, with her unmistakable voice, those no-nonsense views and infectious laugh. We thought it might be fitting, after the tributes you heard earlier in the day, to spend a moment or two listening to Sheila herself doing what she did best, seizing the opportunity presented by a live microphone to bang the drum for whatever cause she cared about, or for whatever caught her eye. She frequently got up people's noses, and she didn't mind doing that if she was making her point. Here are a few of her more recent contributions to PM and to our sister programme, Broadcasting House.
The consumer in the street wants to see cheaper cars, cheaper CDs, cheaper children's clothes. These are the areas where the big price differentials are showing up.
There's an article, and another one of these stupid articles. Housewives go backwards in status race. There's a seminar at Downing Street next week about the fact that these career women who have to go home feel deprived of status by being housewives. And I think there are loads of call centres up in Scotland because Scottish voices are trusted. Well, as I think they should be. The announcement today is great news for UK consumers and the campaign we've been running to reduce car prices. It will have that effect. Serious. I mean, one of the things I think that should happen to people when they become Prime Minister is they shouldn't actually be allowed to read the papers. Because, you know, the amount of prurient gossip and stuff... People do not want to have to pay over the odds for a washing machine or something like that. They want a fair deal, and in many instances, they're not getting it. People live in a bubble, Michael. They're surrounded by sycophants, and they believe they can do anything just because they're famous for being famous. The serious point is, there's an awful lot of people out there with a contribution to make to politics who just cannot cope with this media circus. I mean, Gordon Brown seems to me to be a very private man, and he protects himself better than most politicians. The DTI has always had more powers under various bits of competition law than it has ever used. What the Minister has said today is that he's going to start using those powers. Now, that is a statement. We're a mixture, according to this article, of Machiavelli, Bill Gates and Mata Hari.
Oh, she knows you.
I beg your pardon, Eddie Mayer, just because you're bigger than me.
Sheila McKechnie, who's died far too young at the age of 55.
So the consumer